In Nietzsche's world, the birth of philosophy began with the death of God, the ancient deity upon which all of human existence was built. Perhaps it is because of this misunderstanding that many people do not appreciate Nietzsche. When poets and philosophers put pen to paper, it is unfair to interpret their words literally. So, what does this concept really mean? Why does Nietzsche, in his book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, announce the death of God to the people? The more important question is, how does Nietzsche give such profound meaning to life? And why do millions of people every year find liberation from self-doubt, lack of motivation, depression, and the monotony of life through the thoughts of this mad genius? If you imagine that your life must be repeated over and over again, would you be satisfied with it? The first terrifying truth, the question Nietzsche wants to ask us is, how truly satisfied are we with our lives? How valuable is our life? Some lives are only worth experiencing once, not more, because the person is deeply afraid of being reminded of wasting their life, caring too much about others' opinions, and living to please others. This means they were never truly satisfied with their life. This is the fear that perhaps all of us carry. It's a question we must ask ourselves right now, from the depths of our minds. Are you really willing to be the person you are now, infinitely, over and over again? Irvin Yalom says, Nietzsche's message to us was to live in such a way that we could endure experiencing it infinitely. Leave no part of life unlived. Live life to its fullest and die at the right time. These thoughts we just discussed are Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence. Now that this question has occupied our minds, let's move on to Nietzsche's most important and controversial statement, the death of God. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, a fictional character named Zarathustra spends 10 years in a cave, deep in thought. When he emerges, he acts as a messenger with important news, having discovered something entirely new, something no one else knows. He begins to announce to the people that God is dead, and, as you might expect, he is not met with a warm reception. When Nietzsche says God is dead, he is actually pointing to the collapse of traditional values and beliefs in modern society. At first glance, this statement might seem like an anti-religious declaration, and unfortunately, many people misinterpret it this way, or perhaps they prefer to interpret it this way. But in reality, this statement refers to the disappearance of traditional values in the world. Now imagine this. With the assumption of the death of God, all the beliefs, values, and morals that were built upon God begin to crumble. Now I have a question. When there is no afterlife, no way back, how should a human being find meaning in their life? This is the inner emptiness we call nihilism. It's what sets Nietzsche apart from other philosophers. And it's precisely why he set aside the beliefs of his predecessors, stripped his mind bare, and reached absolute emptiness. He cleared his thoughts so thoroughly that nothing remained, and then he began to create new values. Nietzsche says, if you want to discover the truth of life, you must set aside everything you've believed in so far and immerse yourself in absolute emptiness. He believed that those who do not see the desert of life will suffer a fatal blow somewhere along the way. Those who think life is always rosy and perfect are easily eliminated in the cycle of time. And Nietzsche saw the path to confronting this desert as one of hardening oneself. Nietzsche said, woe to those who do not see the desert. The necessary condition for enduring the desert called life is to harden oneself. Praise be to what makes us hard. Unfortunately, some people are afraid to do this because they fear getting stuck in that emptiness. But Nietzsche believed, until you do this, the life you are experiencing is not truly your own. Rather, it is the words of others, the unfulfilled dreams of others, the desires of society. These are the things imposed on you, not your own authentic experience. And Nietzsche also provided a solution to this problem. Drinking wine and being joyful is my creed. Being free from both disbelief and faith is my religion. I asked the bride of the world, what is your dowry? She replied, your cheerful heart is my dowry. This quatrain by Khayyam is not so dissimilar to Nietzsche's solution. Now, what is the solution? The solution lies in the three metamorphoses and the concept of the Übermensch, overman. Nietzsche describes the path of a human seeking the true meaning of life through three stages of transformation. The first is the camel. The camel carries the burdens of past beliefs, superstitions, and blind traditions. living exactly as it has been told. It goes about its daily tasks without even knowing what it is carrying. This idea is still very familiar today. It's called modern slavery. The second metamorphosis is the lion, the rebellious, angry, and revolutionary lion. This is where a human faces an identity crisis. The lion is tired of the impositions of life and begins to revolt. Nietzsche introduces a dragon called the thou shalt dragon. He says this dragon tells us, you must be this way, you must do that, this is right, this is wrong. These thou shalts are born with us from childhood, starting with the expectations of our parents, the musts imposed on us, and the way we define our identity through them. For example, you must become a doctor so we can be proud of you. You must live the way we tell you so you can bring honor to the family, so we can show you off to others. You must dress this way in society, speak this way, behave this way, and so many other things. Unfortunately, many people in society are like this. They chase goals that don't align with their hearts and strive to impress people who don't even matter. To achieve these goals, they work day and night to satisfy the thou shalt dragon. But the bad news is, that dragon is never satisfied. Nietzsche says, if you don't guard against these dragons, you will always wander like a lost camel in the desert of life. And this is where the lion rebels. It declares war against these thou shalts, grows tired of the repetitive life, and wants to live the way it desires. This is where Nietzsche needs the death of a god, to sacrifice it so he can rebuild his entire life from scratch, a new creation, a rebirth. The third metamorphosis is becoming a child, a rebirth, a fresh start, a renewed belief. A child sees the world as full of wonder, excitement, and learning, free from thou shalts. Nietzsche believed that when you enter this third stage, the foolish games of adults become meaningless to you. You see the world differently, with a mind free of imposed beliefs. The ultimate mission of a human in life is to become a child again. This is where Nietzsche's child begins to dance. He himself said, I worship a God who knows how to dance. A God who plays the melody of life for you and makes you dance through living a meaningful existence. For Nietzsche, the most important and valuable thing in this world is life itself. He said, do not wait for promises of the afterlife. Do not be deceived by preachers who sell heaven by the meter. Nietzsche believed in living the present moment with value, in living in such a way that if we had to repeat it eternally, it wouldn't torment us. After these three stages, the Übermensch, Overman, is born, someone who has become a child, rebuilt themselves, and now has fully recreated themselves. They have their own rules, know what the right path is, and understand what they truly want from life. This time they fight for their own desires, not for the opinions of others, the media, or even the thou shalt dragons. Nietzsche believed that humans must have the will to power. He said, only by accepting and understanding this will can one become the Übermensch. In the final step, we reach the responsibility of life, where Nietzsche reaps the fruits of all the seeds he planted. It is here that if a person takes full responsibility for their life, they can finally begin the effort to build the life they truly want. And as he himself said, you must have the courage to endure the hardships of life and understand that much of life is beyond control. You must also have the skill to face unpredictable events.